Welcome back. It has been a devastating couple of days in Nigeria following a series of stampedes at public events, resulting in significant loss of life and numerous injuries. After the December 18th stampede took the lives of about 35 minors at a Christmas funfair in Ibadan, two separate incidents have occurred during Christmas charity events in Abuja and Anambra state, respectively, claiming the lives of over 25 people, with many injured. Now, while some arrests have been made over the Ibadan stampede, the police is still investigating all three incidents. Specifically, for the Federal Capital Territory, the police command has issued new guidelines requiring individuals and organizations planning public events, charity activities, or large gatherings in Abuja to notify the police in advance.
Joining us now is the creative director of Dunamis Events and the president of Association of Professional Party Organizers and Event Managers of Nigeria, Olufunbi Akinyosoye. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's very unfortunate that we're having you to discuss a really sad series of incidents that we've had. In 1 week, we've seen several deaths and stampedes. Unfortunately, you know, because towards the end of the year, we would often see charity events. But with the stories that you've heard, is this something that has happened in previous years? Is this the norm every year?
No, it's not the norm. But you can see we all would agree that there's considerable hunger in the land. And so that's why now it has looked like it's magnified, because you have much more number of people that attend this charity event as against what it was in the previous years. So no, I don't think it's been like that. It's just that because of the prevailing conditions of what's happening in the country. That's what making even people that you would normally go get food from them come out and start to look for ways to make, you know, their family livelihood or fed. So I think that's what's happening.
We're talking, you know, about staggering levels of poverty now. You know,
yes.
Because what are these people trying to get? It's tiny bags of rice and
oil
and onions.
Just something to alleviate the, you know, the hunger. Anything will do. For me, for what's happening right now, anything will do. So people would come out to take things that are even less than a 5,000, because 5,000 has become a big deal now.
I mean, I'm really, you know, it's important that you mentioned that, because we started the show with a conversation this morning where the Minister of Information and National Orientation said we should not make it a thing about the current administration because it's more of a crowd control issue. But multiple people disagree. They say, whilst, yes, two truths can coexist. It can be a crowd control issue, but we cannot deny the fact that there is staggering levels of poverty. And you would always trace it back to the administration in power and ask, what are you doing to better the lives of citizens? But let's talk about the planning aspect to it. In the Ibadan incidents, for example, there have been arrests that have been made and detentions have been made, and they're carrying out investigations. Let's talk about the failure for people in, you know, putting together safety measures to prevent scenarios like this, or stampedes, from happening. Talk to us about, you know, how much of a challenge this might be in the events industry, and, you know, how much better we can do in this regard.
Yes, we actually can do better. We can do better. The thing is, we always say it takes a village to deploy, also to create an event. It takes a village, because there's so many back-end processes we need to, you know, look into before you take on a particular level of, you know, crowd for an event. For example, you have to put, I know that the Lagos State government created what we call the Lagos State Safety Commission, and I know that they do risk assessment of your venue. Before, as an event planner, if you have an event that's over 200 people in Lagos State, you have to register your event at the online at the Lagos State Safety Commission portal, and they would ask you some pertinent questions which you need to answer. As per, they're going to tell you where is your venue. All venues are already pre-registered, so you click on it, tell them where your venue is. They would ask you little minute things like how many cars can park at this venue that sits 1,000. Are you telling me that you have enough cars, enough car space or car parking space that will sit so and so people? And according to the guidelines that they will send, because they have to send you an email saying that you got an event clearance. So when you get event clearance, you have event safety marshals that come in during your event that will let you know that, look, you have exceeded the number of crowd that this particular place can accommodate.
And this happens in Lagos?
Oh, yeah. Every time. Every time. Wow. And so they would, part of the guidelines they give before they can give you an event safety clearance, that's what we'll call it, is they will tell you how many ambulances you need to put in place. And if that is not obeyed, you don't get an event clearance.
But that would be for, I mean, that is expected for events in Lagos that you expect would attract, 500,000, 2,000 people, maybe more.
No,
for concerts,
from 200.
From 200.
From 200 guests.
But would you expect that would be the same thing if, some rich man in his village decides that he wants to give out, tubers of yam?
It didn't start that way. It didn't start even in Lagos State that way. It started with the advent of COVID-19. So they became, they were part of the agencies that streamlined and stopped events to prevent an endemic occurring then.
Yeah.
So I think that when, like someone would say, there's a saying that whenever you wake up is your morning. So if every other state could emulate that path that Lagos State has, told, I think it would help to keep a semblance of order rather than everybody is in uproar or disarray or anarchy.
Are we saying that, I mean, these sounds very important, very, very important, the fact that they need to approve of your event. So
yes.
Both of us MC events. So a number of times you don't know what happens behind the scenes. But you remember, I think it was in Uganda, when we took the story of the MC announcing to people to go out and see the fireworks, and there was a stampede and people died, right? So sometimes those of us in front, we don't necessarily know what goes on behind the scenes.
I still had an event on Saturday. It was for 500 guests. And the part of the management of the hall had to request, Madam, where is your event clearance? If not, we'll not permit even your decorator to come into the hall and start to work.
Okay, so why I'm asking this is because in the course of hosting events, maybe we haven't just paid attention, but in some cases, will you say that every single event that caters to more than 200 people has an ambulance? Would you say that every single event in Lagos has been able to follow these guidelines?
Well, to a large extent, I will tell you that it's not in totality, because everybody knows that people would get by somehow, some way. But honestly, I tell you, especially for, my members, that's the certified upper members, they know that you can't have an event without having an event clearance and obeying all the guidelines. If you're not using the last ambulance, which is the Lagos State Ambulance Service, you would make use of, there's some private companies that own ambulances, and you must have an ambulance and medical professionals on the ground.
So what happens when you don't? What happens when you don't have
They will clamp down on your events. They have task force officials.
So now we're talking about one incident in
generally,
one in Anambra, one in the FCT. So are you saying that these persons now, if they didn't have an approval for this event, because they may not even call it an event, what we're seeing, it's not the first time that we've seen, even here in Lagos, where they're throwing bread into the crowd.
I can wake up now and say I'm going to do Sarah, for example. If I were Muslim, for example, to do Sarah, or even as a Christian saying, I want to just give charity to people. People are hungry. I carry bags of rice, we see people do it all the time on social media.
You need a license for that as well.
We do it. Like I have a foundation. I'm sitting on the board of many foundations, and we do it. And honestly, I just say that there should be a lot of back-end processes that would put, safety measures in place. It doesn't matter how you want to do it is important. I know that the thought behind this is, you want to, impact the community you're in. But how you do it too is very important. Like there's a saying that if you don't plan to fail, then you're failing to. If you fail to plan, then
you're planning to
fail. The other way. Thank you. So we have to know that it's important. There's some parameters that are put in place. You must be able to have security officials. You must be able to have first aid respondents. You must be able to have, even if it is staggered entry times. So like you have people you come in at 1 to 2, you come in by 2:15 to 2:30. That way there will be no stampede at the entrance way. That has happened in so many.
How do you regulate that? I mean, in a country where people are hungry,
you have crowd
people
control.
are You
have crowd control barriers, those things that they put, that is iron, that is really very big. There's no way you're going to jump over it or anything. So you have crowd control barrier breakers like stanchions and all that could be put in place to help, you know, navigate the place. So you know that you come in through here, you cannot shunt your way into the crowd. You have to go through this path. There are so many ways. I don't know, if you go to the London Eye, there are ways. You enter, there is always a crowd at the gate. And there's an entry point, and there's some swivel thing that makes you in. So you can't enter more than one people. You have one person per time.
Would you, you know, say that the people responsible for these, you know, incidents should be arrested? Well,
it's an ongoing investigation, so I am not going to be able to talk like that without being prejudiced.
But if we find out, you know, at the end of this investigation, you know, hopefully the right questions are asked, that there was no license for some of these, you know, events, there was no, you know, proper crowd control mechanisms that were put in place. Okay, should that be seen as criminal? I mean, since you know, regularly are in charge of events and you follow the rules here in Lagos.
Yeah, for me, I would say that no matter how good your intentions are, they should be well structured. And so if there are no structural implementations in place, you have no business doing that. You could give it to the appropriate authorities. You could give it to people that have NGOs and have, you know, structural infrastructure to be able to do this. There are many people. Then, during COVID, we would deliver foods to people's houses while the party or the bride and groom is getting married in a small secluded place. And they would join, and everybody had a beautiful time.
Then there was something to fear. People were afraid of contracting COVID. Yes. Right now, people are not really afraid. And I'm not going to put you in the box.
And there's also the hunger thing.
Yes.
The hunger thing is
I'm not going to put you in the box because I see that somehow you haven't really answered my colleague's question.
Yeah.
About if they find out.
If it's criminal negligence that has led to loss of life, you know,
now, where there is no law, then there is no sin. Is there a law put in place for such and such incidences?
All right.
If there was no law, then we can have the law now. Then now it becomes a sin.
Yeah, but that level of criminal negligence, I don't think they need a new law for it. It's negligence that has led to loss of lives. You know, we're talking about dozens of people who have lost their lives.
I agree.
You know, because you know, one person decided to share rice. You know, as noble as it might be.
One person decided to be kind.
Yeah.
I would rather, you know, look at it objectively. I understand the pain of everyone that has lost somebody. And I know the pain of loss, I can tell you for a fact. But, you know, we could point fingers and all of that. But if there is no law in place, if it was a Lagos State event, there are laws in place already. You can't have an event of that magnitude. There's risk assessment officers. There's HSE, that is health and safety of the environment officials.
I mean, the Ibadan one, reports have it that the event was meant to host 5,000, and then they spilled over to 7,500. Question is, were they even prepared for even that 5,000 that they initially were going to host? Right? So I want us to talk to charity organizations, to those who are founders of NGOs, you know, those who are benevolent Nigerians who just like to give. There are a number of them. We see them. They cook philanthropists, exactly. These people want to give, you know, they're very particular about philanthropy. Let's talk about the steps that they need to take whenever, because now we've seen that this is a problem. How many, we had the graphics up, if we can put that up, the number of deaths that have occurred within the past 1 week. If you can see Ibadan, 35 children died. Okija, 20. In fact, I even saw that it had come up to 22. Abuja, 10. So if we lost this number of people in a week, and there'll be more people that are still going to give, what steps should people take if, you know, they have NGOs or they just want to be benevolent Nigerians?
I think they should engage the services of security officials of the said state where they're going to be having it. There are security officers, we have man o' war, we have all those LNGC, I don't know, thank you, that's the name.
LNG.
That's what we want. Okay, so they need to talk to the appropriate authorities. They mean well. And we really appreciate the fact that people are, like I always say, if you can choose to be anything, choose to be kind. So they mean well. We cannot, you know, we cannot put them down for what they're trying to do, but there are just ways to go about it. Please get the necessary officials that are in charge of maybe first aid, risk assessment, crowd control.
Is it better for them to engage these people directly or to engage a planner?
I think they should engage a planner, of course. What do you think? Of course, I'll say that.
It's better, so that at the end of the day,
so that there will be less headaches.
It is the planner that they can arrest.
Exactly, and the planner will do a due diligence. If you have a certified planner, she will do a due diligence.
How do you confirm that a planner is certified?
Okay, so for example now, I'm not going to be speaking, I don't want to speak for APWEM, but really, by the time you are a member of APWEM is Association of Professional Party Organizers and Event Managers in Nigeria. There are many certification exams and different things we go through to be able to, you know, become members of APWEM. As I'm a foundation member, I'm also on the board, and I'm now the national president. So I know all this, you know, intricate things we put our members through to become, you know, certified members. So you don't just pick people off the streets and say, oh, she's my sister's uncle's brother. She planned somebody's parlor wedding. Please make sure this person has the capacity and the capability to be able to tell you what is, you know, what's obtainable every time that you do an event. We have planned, like I said, I sit on the board of some NGOs. I know that we did something for Restructure Africa, did something a few years back, and we did Ijora Fit the 5,000. Ijora Badia is like, you know, going down to the basics. And what we did first was go to the KBSC, tell him that these are the things we want to do. We want to bring in supplies for school children. We want to do this for family. We're bringing in food packs for 5,000 people. Honestly, and we were able to get even the locals in on it. We made sure that it was a grassroots thing. You bring in the tents, so you're making something. So we deployed people from around them, and they were able to say, look, this is where you should part, and this is the path you should tow. You should tow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
I think there's just then I know that I keep talking about Lagos State because this is where I'm domiciled, right? where I practice mostly. So I know that there were some things that the what's it called, Sustainable Development Goal was doing recently. I think it should be ending maybe ended last week. I know that they went to Yaba Oba, and it was even the one that, you know, opened up his palace, gave them a big market to tell their people to sit in, told them to come in tranches. You from this locality come, 10 of you. You come, 20 of you. I am aware of this because my sister works there. So if proper things are put in place, proper structure, I think we will be able to do much more help, you know, than harm.
Well, I mean, I'm really just still going to highlight the, you know, criminal negligence part, you know, and I think it's also because of the value that we place on human lives and doing things the right way in Nigeria. Because these are lives, these are families that have been affected, you know, and they should be spoken, you know, for. You know, everyone who was responsible for failing to protect, you know, this crowd, you know, should be held responsible. If you have to pay compensation to each family, then that must be the case.
Yes.
If you need to,
you know,
go spend 6 months in jail, then you must, you no matter how noble your intention was, lives have been lost. And we're talking about 65, almost 70 Nigerian lives that have been lost. We're not just going to say, oh, sorry, you know,
we can't say sorry.
No vex, you know, everybody should go home. That's not the way that it works.
Yeah.
It's just because of the yaga way that we do things in Nigeria. That's the reason why, you know, this is likely going to end with no vex.
No, just like I don't think it's going to end that way.
No. Immigration. Do you remember the immigration stampede where people were going to, quote unquote, you know, I mean, it's been a while now. I can't remember exactly when that happened. But there was a stampede and nothing was really done. It's the same thing we say when we look at the real estate sector, where houses are collapsing, they are investigating, the developer is on the run, we don't see anything. Part of the argument is that if there were strong punitive measures to say that if, as a developer, you find that there's a building collapse and anybody dies or loses their property, you'll be thrown in jail for so number of years. And Nigerians can see that a number of developers have been thrown in jail. We'll see that more people will sit up and ensure that they're getting quality materials and supervising their buildings closely. It's the same thing
Absolutely.
here. If you know that, oh, I put together an event, or so person put together an event before, and people died.
There should be a law that states that whatever it is you want to do, there will be punitive measures if you don't do it right, or if any lives end up getting lost.
So yeah, that would be criminal negligence. Yes, it should fall under negligence, right?
So I mean, so let's see what Oyo State and Anambra State and the FCT eventually, find with their investigations.
Maybe they pass a bill.
No, I mean, I want to, because now I can't really check what the Oyo State laws would be, but I would like to see what the investigations find, and if these investigations show that yes, these people are criminally negligent for not protecting the crowd that they attracted with their noble Christmas giveaway. I mean, that's where we should start asking questions for. Unfortunately, this might affect the ability of other people to also do giveaways this Christmas, because everyone's going to shy away from it.
Everybody's giveaway will be on social media. Drop your account number. Let's do giveaway.
That's safer.
Exactly.
That's safer.
Well, it is a conversation, a sad but very necessary conversation that we've had this morning with Olufunbi Akinyosoye, who is the director of Dunamis events and president of Association of Professional Party Organisers and Event Managers of Nigeria, APWEN. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.